What if every experience, every hardship, every obstacle was given to you, not to break you, but to mold you and strengthen you? What if the center of your suffering was actually the key to ultimate health? And what if your own pain was meant to be the catalyst for your greatest purpose? Welcome to Buddha Belly Life, empowering purpose, mind to microbiome. That brings me to this great question. So here's something that I think about it a lot. And I think most all of us have struggled with this. But our identity, our self-esteem, our value, all that stuff being tied to what we do for a living, to the success, especially if you've tasted success. Like, it's one thing to start something out. I think a lot of new entrepreneurs, like our new coaches and stuff, they they don't have the confidence yet. Some of them do, but they haven't done it yet. They haven't hit their first gold nugget. But once you do, once you sell the first thing you ever sell, or the first hit you ever, the first dollar you ever make with what you create. Oh, it's cool to feel like
it's all working and now I'm free.
I know. Yeah. And it's like hard and fast because it makes it a reality instead of believing it could happen and trying to believe. Now all of a sudden you've tasted it and you're like, there's no doubt for that now. So it's it's so explosive. And so it's hard. I know for myself, I said for a long time, I was like, man, my days in my life will ride this roller coaster that is my business. And I can't do that. I can't just spike all the time, because what I do is very spiky. I do real big, intense stuff, or I'm kind of laying low and working and with family and things like that. But I can't, and having babies and stuff. When I had babies, and I think a lot of moms go through this, but that identity piece of what am I doing? Or if I'm not able to put into my business or do my stuff as much, or same with men, your business starts going, downhill or something. It's how much I've seen people, and myself included, their self-esteem, their value, their identity, so much of their life starts going in the dumpster because of what their business is doing.
Yeah.
And dangerous, right?
Yeah. Well, it's in my world, I call it, my background is in risk management. So the terminology I would use is it's very vulnerable. If it's, and it's so prevalent. I think that everybody has it to some extent. They start a business, it's their baby. If their baby is doing well, they're happy. If their baby is not doing well, they're not happy. Mm-hmm. But where it gets a little bit vulnerable is that if your happiness is dependent on what the politicians are doing, or the economy is doing, or whether someone signed a big contract or not, then your life is basically not in your hands anymore. It gets a bit everlasting roller coaster. I call it the entrepreneurial rat race, which is you go to work, you work your ass off. And even though you do that, you can't tell which days are going to be good and which days are not. Control. And one of the questions that I ask sometimes that is a little bit pointy, it's a little bit gnarly sometimes to ask people. I need to have a little bit of rapport to ask it. But if I took away your business overnight, who are you? And people get really stressed. That's my vocation, that's my interest, that's my time, that's, but I would be asking some questions, be what would be left there? Are you a great dad? Are you healthy? Are you a great friend? Are you, are you happy? Are you a happy soul? Do you inspire that?
Yeah. Are you happy?
And so, the more things I say, I see people just it's basically they're successful in business, but they realize that without the business, I'm not, let's just be clear here. I'm not saying this to, have people get down on themselves and feel bad, but to realize that there's other sides to their life than just their business that really matters to them. And is really you're not a bad person for wanting to succeed in business and putting in a lot of the eggs in that basket. But it's a different game, I feel, when you can be sort of happy no matter what happens with the business. And then the business is an incredibly fun game to play that you excel at, that you're good at. but you're still coming home to your family, which more often than not are smiling, right? And sometimes there's a gremlin there, but if there's a gremlin there, you can handle it because you have that capacity, like the energy's there. So sometimes you'll be, shit, and your wife will carry you, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes you will be the gremlin and then you get to take the helm a little bit, and that way you can help each other.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you have the platform like that and you've designed a happy life, which really what most entrepreneurs, the reason they started out their business was for freedom and happiness and choice. I just want the entrepreneurs to feel the freedom, the happiness, and the choice that comes from designing your own life.
Do you have a desire for fulfillment? Does helping people tap into their own health mentally, emotionally, and physically fire you up? Do you believe in the impact of the gut microbiome on overall wellness? You may be an HWCA coach. For more info on our cutting-edge health coach trainings, visit hwcacoach.com. What you're doing is you're not just helping people with their life happiness. What you're doing is you're bomb-proofing them, helping them bomb-proof themselves for entrepreneurship, because business is a game. I remember, so Henrik and I didn't mention this part, but we met at a Tony Robbins event. So he was there working, doing all his cool stuff. And I was like awestruck because I made this dream of mine happen as a single mom. I always talk about that. I mean, I was like, as a bucket list moment in my life. It was the coolest.
Yeah, I remember that.
5 days. It was just like amazing. Traveled by myself, got someone to watch my kids. It was just huge.
So happy to be a highlight in your life, Britt. So
yes, exactly. I was lost when I got there, actually, like literally lost. And I didn't know where I was going. And apparently it was obvious because he's like, can I help you find out where you're going? And I was just like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. But one of the things he talked about was, he said, what was it? He said something really poignant about the life and the foundation stuff, because we attach so much to our businesses and everything, then everything else falls apart. And what you're helping people do is you're helping them really bomb-proof business. Because he says it's not, I think he was referring to when you get sued or getting sued. He said it's not if you get sued, it's when you get sued.
Yeah,
it's like the term, it takes hundreds to make thousands and thousands to make millions and millions or you lose hundreds to make thousands. You lose thousands to make, to make millions. You lose millions to make billions. It's a game. And what you're saying is that and what I agree with you, if our identity and stuff and too much of our happiness overall is tied into just our performance, the fluctuation, we will not survive. The fluctuations will kill us. In fact, I think I would argue that it's probably one of the number one reasons people give up on their business or entrepreneurship dreams is the fluctuation. When they have a crash, they make these associations that it's the end, that they're a failure, that they can't do it.
Yep.
Instead of realizing, no, this is an anticipated and necessary event, and it's going to happen many, many, many more times.
Yeah, but isn't that true? Like when there's a situation, are you in a place where you can act, or are you like freezing up, or in denial, or something else? Like there's, it's such a game changer, for sure.
And if you're emotionally dependent on it being good, then you don't have the resiliency, like you say, for when it's not. So how can you perform the best and do what you got to do and stay clear-headed in business if you're so tied, your self-esteem is riding that roller coaster that's inevitably going to happen.
Yeah. So you bring up a really important point, and this is like some of the deeper work we do in terms of business. Like now we're leaving happiness just a little bit, but when your identity is tied in with your business and your feelings of happiness is tied to the business, sometimes you don't want to see the flaws in the business because that will make you feel bad.
Yeah.
That would mean that you're not so successful or that you didn't do it right or something else. Yet for the business, that's a big freaking hole. Like you need to be aware of the flaws so you can fix them. Right. And what I'm saying again, where I'm coming from, I just want to figure out something that really works with people. Right? I don't care for the right or the wrong, but what I'm seeing sometimes when people invest a lot of their happiness in their business is that when people point out some of the mistakes, they're not as open to hear it because that would mean they're not good enough, basically. Right.
It's personal. Isn't that such a common thing? I think I see it in a lot of people too. You have to be able to separate your own value and worth from what you're looking, and look at it like you said, like a chess game, like a game, like strategy, and be able to admit where you're strong and where you're weak. Like for me, writing and using words is a strength. I spell like a toddler with like other toddlers will spell better than me. And I just know that I can't be embarrassed by it. I mean, I try and get better.
Your toddler friends?
Yes. Like my kids, like they're coming home with spelling tests and I'm like, oh dang, like I would have got a worse grade on that than they did. And yet I could write these books and but like I just
the
know.
Kids teachers are like, oh, like, did your kids write this? You'd be like, no, like
yeah. I'm like, oh, they're like, we know that you faked this sick note from your mom because clearly the spelling is so bad. I'd be like, I'll talk to them about that. But yeah, it's like I have to know where I'm weak. And I've learned over time that it's cool to be able to do that because I bring in the people or seek out the resources to make those areas strong. And then my business machine or whatever I'm creating is better for it. It's better because I could humble myself down and analyze as opposed to internalize.
Right. But that also means because you're playing the game. If you have the same thing of like, oh, my business is a flaw, that means that I'm flawed. That feeling is not so fun. Right. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a huge strength. And I think it's I don't want to go into like impossible land. It's not a word I use a lot. But if you created a business and there's something wrong with it, like, yeah, you care. Obviously you care. Right. There's some connection there. But the tag question sometimes is be like, oh, that sucks. And be like, but is it true? It's like, yes, it is. Right. And then now you can act. And also once you have a perspective where that is okay, meaning that right now, it's not that I made a mistake and I suck. It's like right now I figure out something important and I'm fixing it or I'm making it better or I'm creating this amazing structure that's going to stand for, eternity or whatever. Then that could be a really good thing. The act of finding holes in your ship, so to speak, can carry with it some really great feelings.
Rewarding. Yeah. It's like we want to feel accomplished. Sometimes you feel accomplished because we can see some things and we dig into something and we get, we grow from something. It proves to ourselves that we are stronger or we are, we're stronger or we're more confident than we thought we were because we were able to do that. Kind of like saying sorry, right? Like sometimes it can be so hard to say sorry. It's hard for me. Like I don't get tested with it very much. It's hard for me in my intimate relationships, and things. And I'm such an analyzer and it can be so hard. But when you do practice it a little bit, as uncomfortable as it is, you're proud. You want to be the person that can say sorry. You don't want to be the person that can't say sorry. You don't want to be the person that can't admit the flaws in your business. So therefore you never achieve the level of success you could have because you were too darn caught up in, making it personal. Yeah.
So that's one of the things I love the most about what I get to do, which is really I get to bring out the best sides in people and make them better and take out some of the sides. Like the bad sides in someone is usually not them. Mm-hmm. It's some learned behaviors and other stuff that, had a function once upon a time. It's just been carrying for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I get to work with people like this. And I mentioned one tip for the ladies earlier with relationships. I'll mention one for men. And I think for entrepreneurs out there, they maybe even have a higher frequency of this. So here it goes. Sometimes and so this is for the men out there. Sometimes for a man, you really don't want to say you're sorry. Like men are very tied into what's right and them being right sometimes, and they're proud and stubborn and all these sort of things. Mm-hmm. Now, ladies, I know you don't believe this about men, but sometimes men are stubborn and they're proud. Okay. And so what can happen sometimes is that men believe that if they say they're sorry, that means that they have done something wrong. And if you're a woman, you're nodding and be like, yeah, that's because he does. But just listen here. Women sometimes is it important for him to feel bad about having done it wrong? Or is it more important for him to say that he's sorry and I'm sorry that he hurt you or that he, didn't listen? Like a lot of times men think that it's important to fix the situation, where a lot of time for women, it's not important at all.
Thank you for joining us for another empowering episode of Buddha Belly Life. For more information on gut health and mindset resources, visit buddhabellylife.com. And remember, heal yourself and then empower others to do the same.